The alien citadel shimmered under a sky filled with violet storms. Lightning flashed over towers of crystal and glass. Inside the throne hall, the air hummed with quiet tension as Captain Jaxon Reid, a battle-worn human mercenary, stood before Baron Nirax, one of the most feared alien nobles in the sector. The room was filled with guards in gleaming armor. Their reptilian eyes followed Jackson's every move. He had fought beasts, pirates, and even space raiders, but this place made him uneasy. The Baron leaned lazily on his shining throne, his emerald skin reflecting the purple light. His smile was sharp and cold. "Ah, Captain Reid," he said in a mocking tone. "The human who thinks he can survive anywhere in my galaxy." Jaxon crossed his arms. "We had a deal," he said, his voice steady. "I cleared your colony of ravagers. Now pay what you promised." The Baron chuckled. The sound was like glass breaking. "Oh, my dear human, credits are boring. I have something far more entertaining for you." The guards exchanged looks and disappeared through a golden door. Jaxon frowned. "I don't have time for games," he warned. "My ship's half broken, and I need to." He stopped mid-sentence. The guards returned, pushing a floating cart. On it lay a young alien woman with pale green skin and long silver-black hair that spilled like liquid night. Her beauty was otherworldly, but her body didn't move. Only her eyes did, sharp, intelligent, and burning with quiet fury. The Baron spread his arms. "Meet my daughter, Clara. She was once graceful, gifted, and proud. But after a small accident, she can no longer walk. A pity, isn't it?" He grinned cruelly. "Quite useless now, but perhaps you, human, can find a use for her." Jackson's jaw tightened. "This is a joke," he muttered. "Oh, it's a gift," the Baron said, laughing. "You wanted payment. I give you my daughter. Do with her whatever you wish." Clara's voice cut through the hall like a blade. "You can't be serious, father." "I'm completely serious," the Baron replied smoothly. "Guards, help our human friend load his new prize onto his ship." Jaxon stepped forward. "You can't just give away your own daughter." The Baron's cold eyes met his. "I just did. Unless you'd prefer no payment at all." Jaxon glanced around. The guards raised their weapons slightly. He could kill a few, but not all. Not here. Not in the Baron's fortress. He clenched his fists. "Fine," he spat. "But this isn't over." The Baron smiled wider. "Oh, I do hope it isn't." As the guards roughly lifted Clara onto a hover stretcher, her glare met Jackson's. There was fury in her eyes, but also something else. A spark. When they left the throne room and the heavy doors closed behind them, Clara spoke, her voice low and sharp. "If you think I'm some helpless prize you can sell to the highest bidder, you're making a deadly mistake." Jaxon gave her a short glance as they walked toward his ship. "Lady, I just want to get off this planet alive. We can talk about your market value later." Something in her expression shifted. Maybe amusement. Maybe curiosity. "You're not like the others," she said softly. "Never claimed to be." They reached his ship, the Stellar Vagrant, an old but loyal freighter. The engines rumbled like a sleeping beast as he guided it out of the Baron's territory. Inside, Clara sat propped against a wall, her elegant gown glowing faintly under the dim cabin lights. She looked calm now, but her eyes never left him. "You're making a mistake if you think you can sell me," she warned. "My father controls most of the black markets in this sector." Jaxon smirked. "Reading my mind now, princess?" "I've seen that look before," she replied coldly. "But I have something more valuable than any payment you wanted." He raised a brow. "Let me guess, your gratitude?" She ignored the sarcasm. "Information. My father's secret trade deals. His connections with the ravagers you destroyed. His entire empire could fall with what I know." Jaxon turned, really looking at her for the first time. The dim light reflected on her pale skin. For a moment, he almost forgot she was his payment. "And why would you betray your own father?" Clara's laugh was bitter. "Because he already betrayed me. The day I was paralyzed, he said I was no longer worth the air I breathed. He's tried to get rid of me ever since. This time, he just succeeded." Jaxon folded his arms, studying her. "So you want revenge?" She met his gaze. "I want freedom. And I can help you earn enough credits to fix that rust bucket of yours. Maybe buy 3 more. His lips twitched. She was right about the ship's condition. "All right, talk," he said. "Not yet," she replied. "First, a deal. You help me get to a medical station, one with advanced tech. In return, I give you everything you need to destroy my father's empire. Jaxon frowned. And why shouldn't I just force it out of you? Clara smiled faintly. Because, Captain Reid, you're not that kind of monster. I did my research. He exhaled, shaking his head. You're dangerous. I know, she said softly. The stellar vagrant roared into the void, leaving the Baron's world behind. Jaxon didn't know it yet, but this cruel joke, this strange gift, would change both their lives forever. The stellar vagrant drifted through the endless dark, its engines humming like a wounded animal. The stars stretched into ribbons of silver as the ship cut through the void. Inside the cockpit, Captain Jaxon Reid stared at the navigation screen, deep in thought. Behind him, the faint sound of tools echoed from the cargo bay. He turned and saw Clara, the alien princess, working with surprising focus. Even though her legs were motionless, her upper body moved with precision and strength. She had opened a service panel and was rewiring one of the auxiliary power units. Jaxon blinked. You touch anything wrong, this whole ship could blow. Then it's a good thing I know what I'm doing, she replied without looking up. Your engine's output regulator was misaligned. No wonder your reactor hums like a dying beast. He raised an eyebrow. You can hear that. Her lips curved slightly. My species has sensitive hearing. It's how I knew your reactor was unstable before you did. He leaned against the wall, studying her. You talk like a mechanic, not a princess. Clara's hands paused for a moment. That's because I was never meant to be a decorative doll. My father didn't like that part of me. Jaxon gave a short laugh. No surprise there. He seems the type to hate anything with its own mind. She looked up at him then, her eyes catching the dim blue light of the ship's console. You're different from the others who come to our world, she said. Most humans would have sold me already. Maybe I'm just waiting for the price to rise, he replied dryly. But she smiled. A small, knowing smile that unsettled him more than her threats. No, Captain Reid. You're not that kind of man. You pretend to be cruel, but it's only armor. He said nothing. The silence between them grew heavy, filled only by the hum of the ship and the faint rhythm of her tools. After a while, she closed the panel and pushed herself back. Done, she said. Your engine efficiency just increased by 8%. Show off, he muttered, but there was a hint of admiration in his tone. As she moved toward the wall console, Jaxon noticed how easily she used her arms, pulling herself across handrails with practiced strength. She didn't ask for help. She didn't complain. She adapted. She turned the screen toward him. There's a medical facility I know of, Station Nexus 9. It's hidden on the outer rim, and it has the kind of tech that could repair spinal damage. But it's guarded. Of course it is, Jaxon said, rubbing his forehead. Why can't anything ever be simple? Clara's gaze was steady. Because easy things aren't worth doing. He chuckled softly. You sound like a soldier. I learned from the best, she said. Watching my father fight wars of money and pride. I just prefer wars that matter. Jaxon sat down across from her, his boots clanging softly against the floor. You said you have information, enough to destroy your father's empire. How do I know it's real? Without answering, Clara tapped a sequence into the console. A hologram flickered to life. Maps, cargo manifests, encrypted transmissions, and the Baron's private seal. This is only a fraction, she said. Smuggling routes, weapon shipments, deals with pirates. If the Federation saw this, he'd lose everything. Jaxon whistled low. You weren't bluffing. No, she said. I don't bluff. I plan. He leaned back. So what's your plan exactly? Simple, she replied. We reach Nexus 9. You help me access their restricted medical wing. I walk again. You get the rest of the data. And in return, she looked at him, a hint of challenge in her eyes. In return, you stop pretending you don't care. The air between them tightened. For a moment, the hum of the ship seemed to fade, leaving only silence and the soft sound of her breath. Jaxon broke eye contact first. You've got a dangerous way of talking, princess. Clara tilted her head. You've got a dangerous way of listening, Captain. Before he could respond, the ship's alarm blared, a sharp, rising tone. Contacts, Jaxon shouted, spinning back to the controls. Red markers flashed on the radar. 3 small crafts, pursuit interceptors. They're not Federation. Clara's voice turned cold. My father's hunters. Jaxon's hands flew across the panel. Then we're in trouble. The first blast hit the rear shields, rocking the stellar vagrant. Sparks flew from a console, and smoke filled the cockpit. Shields down to 60%. Jaxon yelled. Clara's eyes narrowed. Then stop running. He blinked. What? She pointed to the comms unit. Transmit this code. He hesitated. That'll give away our position. It'll also call in a pirate fleet that hates my father more than you do, she said grimly. Do it. Jaxon stared at her for a second, then hit transmit. Outside, the darkness came alive with new signals. Dozens of ships appeared out of warp, engines burning red. The hunters hesitated, and then chaos erupted. Clara leaned back, watching the scanners light up with explosions. Told you, she said softly. I plan. Jaxon couldn't help but grin as he pulled the ship toward open space. Remind me never to underestimate you, princess. She smiled faintly. You already have. The stellar vagrant glided through a field of shattered asteroids, its hull reflecting the faint light of dying stars. Smoke still curled from one of the engine vents, scars from the last ambush. Inside, the tension was thick. Captain Jaxon Reid sat in the pilot's chair, eyes locked on the flickering navigation screen. Across from him, Clara studied the glowing map projection with cold focus. There it is, she said quietly, pointing to a dark crescent hidden behind the debris field. Station Nexus 9. Jaxon frowned. That doesn't look like a medical center. Looks more like a graveyard. Clara smirked. That's the point. It's abandoned on the outside, alive on the inside. He leaned back, crossing his arms. You really expect me to walk into a station run by smugglers and black market surgeons? She glanced at him, eyes gleaming. You walked into a Baron's citadel. This will be easier. Somehow, I doubt that, he muttered, engaging the ship's stealth drive. The asteroid field swallowed them whole, rocks drifting past like silent ghosts. The hum of the engines softened to a whisper. For a moment, Jaxon could hear only his own heartbeat and the faint tapping of Clara's fingers on the console. She was nervous. She hit it well, but he could see it in the way her shoulders tightened. You trust these people? He asked. I trust their greed, she said simply. It's predictable. Jaxon snorted. You talk like a human sometimes. Maybe I've been around one long enough to learn. The ship slid into the shadow of the massive station. From the outside, Nexus 9 looked dead. No lights, no signals, no movement. But as the vagrant approached, a soft blue glow flickered along the docking ring. Docking clearance granted, said an automated voice, distorted but functional. Clara exhaled slowly. They're still here. The airlock hissed open with a metallic groan. Jaxon stepped out first, blaster drawn, scanning the dim corridor. The station smelled of ozone and rust. Old posters peeled from the walls, remnants of a long-forgotten Federation outpost. Stay close, he said. I don't need a babysitter, she replied sharply, pulling herself along the handrails with swift, fluid motion. He smiled faintly. Didn't say you did. They followed the flickering lights deeper inside until a door slid open ahead. From the shadows emerged a tall woman in a long white coat, her hair streaked with silver. Jaxon Reid, she said in a calm, almost nostalgic voice. Didn't expect to see you again. He lowered his weapon slightly. Dr. Vesa. Still running illegal miracles. She smirked. Still running from bad decisions? Her gaze shifted to Clara, and her eyes widened. And this must be the Baron's daughter. Clara's expression hardened. I'm not his daughter anymore. Good answer, Vesa said. Follow me. They entered a lab filled with humming machines, holographic scans, and tanks glowing with pale blue light. Clara looked around, her eyes reflecting both awe and fear. This place, she whispered. It used to be Federation research. Until they called our work unethical, Vesa said. Now it's profitable instead. Jaxon frowned. Can you help her? Vesa tapped a control panel. Maybe, but it'll cost you. Jaxon sighed. We don't have much. I don't need credits, Vesa said. I need access to your ship's core logs. You've been near the Baron's territory. That data could map his defense grid. Clara's eyes flashed. You're planning to sell that to his rivals. Vesa smiled thinly. Information is currency. You of all people should understand that, princess. Jaxon stepped forward. We'll give you limited access. Nothing that compromises us. Vesa shrugged. Fine. But the procedure won't be easy. The implants are experimental, human-alien hybrid tech. They could restore her movement, or burn out her nervous system completely. Clara's voice was steady. Do it. Jaxon turned to her. Think about this. Once you start. I've been thinking about it every day since the accident, she interrupted. I'd rather risk dying than live like this. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Then we do it together. Vessa's assistants wheeled Clara toward a glowing medical chamber. Jaxon followed until Vessa stopped him with a raised hand. You can't go in, she said. Try and stop me, he growled. Listen, Captain, she said softly. If her body rejects the implants, the neural feedback could kill her in seconds. If she survives, she'll need an anchor, someone to stabilize her link. That's you. Stay close to the neural console and don't break contact. He stared through the glass at Clara as she lay beneath the scanning arms of the machine. Wires glowed faintly against her skin. For the first time since he'd met her, she looked afraid. Vessa's voice cut through the static. Initiating interface in 3, 2, 1. The lights dimmed. The machine came alive with a sharp hum. Clara gasped as energy coursed through her veins. Her fingers twitched. Her legs moved slightly, just for a second, before she screamed. Jaxon slammed his hand on the console, gripping the link handle. Stay with me, Clara. The readings spiked wildly. Her heartbeat raced, the neural map flashing in rapid patterns. Then, suddenly calm. The monitors leveled. Her breathing slowed. Her fingers stopped shaking. Vessa looked up, astonished. It worked. Jaxon exhaled, his hand still pressed to the console. Inside the chamber, Clara opened her eyes and moved her foot. For the first time in years, Clara felt gravity beneath her feet. Weak, trembling, but real. She stared down at her toes as they moved, slowly, uncertainly, like someone learning to command their body again. The cold metal floor of the lab pressed against her skin. The sensation was overwhelming. Easy, said Dr. Vessa, monitoring the screens. Your neural pathways are recalibrating. Don't push too fast. But Clara didn't listen. She took another shaky step, nearly falling forward. Jaxon caught her instinctively, his hands steadying her by the arms. I said easy, Vessa repeated, annoyed. Clara leaned against Jaxon, breathing hard. Her skin glowed faintly, a soft trace of the neural implants pulsing beneath the surface. I can feel everything, she whispered. Every current. Every vibration. Yeah, well, maybe feel a chair next, Jaxon said, half joking as he helped her sit down. Vessa frowned at the monitor. The interface is integrating faster than expected. That shouldn't be possible without an external stabilizer. What does that mean? Jaxon asked. It means something is syncing with her neural core, Vessa replied. A second frequency, close, human. Clara looked up at Jaxon. You were linked to the console, weren't you? He hesitated. You told me to keep contact. Vessa gave him a long look. That link may have done more than you realize. It's possible your nervous system is now acting as her stabilizer. Jaxon frowned. You mean, she's connected to me? In a way, Vessa said. Her implants read your neural signals as balance input. You step away too far, she loses equilibrium. Clara's expression turned unreadable. So I can stand, because he's close? Vessa nodded. Exactly. Silence filled the room. Only the hum of the machines broke it. Clara slowly turned to Jaxon. Well, Captain Reid, she said softly. Looks like you're stuck with me. He tried to laugh it off, but there was something fragile in the way she said it. Guess I've had worse jobs. Before Vessa could respond, the station lights flickered red. The intercom hissed to life with a cold, distorted voice. Unregistered vessel stellar vagrant. This is Lord Krell. You are harboring a fugitive of the Baronate. Surrender immediately, or we open fire. Jaxon cursed under his breath. How the hell did they find us so fast? Vessa paled. They must have tracked your jump signature. She turned to her assistants. Seal the outer hatches. Power down everything that glows. The lights dimmed again, the station sinking into a deep crimson hue. Outside, the low rumble of approaching ships vibrated through the metal walls. Clara gripped the edge of the table, her legs trembling but holding. He's not going to stop, she said. If Krell's here, my father knows too. Jaxon grabbed his rifle and checked the charge. Then we make sure neither of them get what they want. Vessa's eyes darted to the screen. You can't fight a Baron's fleet, Jaxon. There's a dozen ships out there. He smiled grimly. I don't need to fight them all. Just buy time. Clara stood, shakily but determined. I'm coming with you. He turned sharply. You just learned to walk again. You're not ready. Her voice cut through him like a blade. You need me. The neural system ties us together. You step into danger, I'll feel it anyway. Better I'm there to fight. He hesitated, then nodded once. Fine, but stay behind me. As they moved down the corridor toward the armory, Claria's steps grew steadier. Every few seconds, she brushed against the wall or Jackson's arm, the faint hum of her implants syncing with his movements. Explosions echoed outside. The station trembled. Docking clamps breached. Vesa shouted through the comm, they're boarding. Jaxon raised his rifle. Princess, you wanted freedom. Here's the first test. Clara smirked, gripping the alien sidearm Vesa had handed her. I was born for tests. The door blew open in a burst of smoke and light. Alien soldiers poured in, armor gleaming under red alarms. Jaxon fired first, precise and calm. Clara moved beside him, her hands steady despite her still healing nerves. Each time she aimed, her shots landed sharp and true. When the last invader fell, Jaxon glanced at her. She was breathing hard, but smiling faintly. Not bad, he said. Not bad for someone's damaged goods, she replied, wiping sweat from her brow. Before either could say more, Vesa's voice crackled again. They're cutting through the central bulkhead. You need to leave, now. Jaxon grabbed Claria's wrist. To the ship. Move. They sprinted down the narrow corridors as smoke filled the station. Behind them, the floor shook violently. Vesa, Jaxon shouted into the comm, come with us. Her reply was faint. No time. I'll delay them. You two, finish what we started. The transmission cut out. As they reached the airlock, Clara stopped and looked back at the flames consuming the lab. She gave me my legs, she whispered. Jaxon touched her shoulder. Then don't waste them. She met his gaze, eyes glowing faintly from the implants. I don't plan to. They entered the ship and launched into the void, leaving Nexus 9 burning behind. As the stars swallowed the station's light, Clara felt a strange surge through her body, a pulse that wasn't entirely her own. She looked at Jaxon. You feel that? He nodded slowly. Yeah, like your heartbeats in my chest. Clara's lips curved into a small smile. Then maybe we both survived the same miracle. The stellar vagrant vanished into hyperspace, carrying two souls bound by science, danger, and something deeper neither dared to name. The stellar vagrant shot out of the red nebula like a wounded predator, streaks of plasma trailing behind it. Warning lights flashed across the cockpit as Captain Jaxon Reid fought to keep the ship stable. Outside, Krell's fleet burned through hyperspace trails, closing in fast. Shields at 30%. Jaxon muttered through clenched teeth. One more direct hit, and we're dust. Then don't get hit, Clara replied sharply, her voice steady but eyes bright with determination. She sat at the navigation console, her hands moving in perfect rhythm with his. Each touch of her glowing fingers sent a pulse through the ship's system, syncing with its controls. Jaxon shot her a glance. Are you controlling my ship? She didn't look up, just helping it listen better. My implants can interface with low-frequency tech. Consider it a gift. Next time, maybe ask before hacking my engines. Next time, fly faster. Her tone was light, but he could hear the strain beneath it. The link between them, born from Vesa's experiment, was growing stronger. Every time the ship shook, Jaxon felt a faint echo of pain that wasn't his. Every time Claria's heart raced, he felt it hammering in his own chest. Krell's voice came over the comm, calm and venomous. Captain Reid, you're harboring stolen property belonging to Baron the Lax. Surrender the girl, and I might let you live. Jaxon smirked bitterly. You'll have to catch me first. The comm crackled, then died tired. Blaster fire rained from the pursuing ships. The vagrant spun and twisted between the streaks of plasma, diving through the wreckage of old battlefields, fields littered with the bones of forgotten wars. The view outside was breathtaking and deadly. Floating debris, cracked hulls, drifting weapons. Clara's eyes narrowed. Wait there. She pointed at a massive, derelict cruiser half hidden in the dust cloud. If we dive through that wreck, we can lose them. Jaxon grinned. Now that's my kind of idea. He angled the ship sharply downward, engines roaring. The vagrant plunged into the dark carcass of the old warship. Sparks danced across its hull as they scraped through a narrow passage lined with jagged metal. Careful, Clara said through gritted teeth. If you clip a stabilizer. Relax, Jaxon cut in. I've flown through tighter gaps. Name one. Your temper. She almost laughed, but then the ship jolted violently. A blast had hit the cruiser's remains, sending debris tumbling around them. Metal groaned like thunder. A large fragment slammed into their rear section, throwing Clara forward. Jaxon reached for her, grabbing her wrist just before she hit the console. The instant their skin touched, a surge of power flowed through both of them. The ship's systems flared back to life. Engines stabilizing, shields pulsing stronger than before. What was that? Jaxon asked, staring at the readouts. Clara's breathing was ragged. Our neural link, it amplified the power flow. The ship's reacting to us, like it's alive. He blinked. So, were the batteries now? More like the heart, she said quietly. Outside, Krell's fighters closed in again. But the vagrant moved faster this time, sharper, deadlier. It was as if the ship anticipated every thought, every movement they made together. Clara's fingers danced across the console, firing countermeasures. 2 on your left. I see them. Jaxon twisted the yoke, spinning the ship into a corkscrew maneuver. Plasma bolts whizzed past their hull, missing by inches. The vagrant shot out of the cruiser's broken hull and into open space, trailing fire behind it. Krell's flagship loomed ahead, massive and menacing. He's blocking the escape vector, Jaxon muttered. Clara's implants pulsed brighter, her eyes glowing with faint gold light. Then we go through him. Through him? That's suicide. Not if we hit his reactor core at the right angle. His flagship runs on triple fusion drives. One good blast in the vent shaft could cause a chain reaction. Jaxon glanced at her. You've done this before? No, she said, smiling faintly. But my father has. He grinned despite himself. Remind me never to play chess with you. As the flagship's guns locked on, Jaxon and Clara exchanged a look, one of silent understanding. No words were needed. He angled the ship toward the vent shaft. She powered up the plasma torpedoes. Now, she shouted. The vagrant fired. The torpedoes streaked across the void, glowing like comets. They struck the vent shaft, and for a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the entire flagship erupted in white fire. The shock wave slammed into them, but the vagrant held together. The stars disappeared behind clouds of burning debris. When the light faded, only silence remained. Jaxon exhaled slowly. Remind me to never doubt your crazy plans again. Clara leaned back, her glow dimming. You doubted me? Only until now. For a long moment, they sat in the flickering light of the dying engines. Outside, pieces of Krell's fleet drifted like ash in the dark. Clara looked at him, her expression soft but unreadable. You could have left me back there. He met her gaze. And miss all this. She smiled faintly. You're impossible, human. He turned back to the stars. Yeah, humanity usually is. The stellar vagrant disappeared into the darkness once more. 2 fugitives bound by fate, carrying the spark of something greater than either of them yet understood. The stars outside stretched into endless ribbons of blue light as the stellar vagrant cruised through hyperspace. Inside the ship, silence reigned, the kind that came only after surviving something that should have killed you. Jaxon Reid sat in the pilot's chair, shoulders slumped, eyes half closed. The control panels flickered dimly. Every muscle in his body ached, but the hum of the ship was steady. Against all odds, they were alive. Across the cockpit, Clara sat in quiet thought, her bare feet resting lightly on the cold floor. Her movements were slower now, deliberate. The glowing lines of her neural implants pulsed with faint rhythm, matching the beat of her heart and his. She turned her head. You feel it too, don't you? Jaxon hesitated. Yeah, like a pull. Every time you breathe, I feel it. Her gaze softened. It's not just a side effect anymore. The connection, whatever Vesa did, it's evolving. He frowned. Evolving how? She rose, walking toward him, her balance perfect now. Our nervous systems are sinking beyond the neural implants. It's not mechanical anymore. It's biological. He blinked. You mean? I mean we share impulses now. Emotions. Reactions. She placed her hand on the metal railing. When you feel anger, I feel the heat in my veins. When I'm afraid, your heart races before mine does. He looked down, suddenly uneasy. That's not possible. Her tone was calm, but firm. Neither was a human helping a paralyzed alien princess walk again. But here we are. Jaxon sighed, leaning back in the chair. So what does that make us then? Some kind of shared science experiment. No, she said quietly, stepping closer. Something new. For a moment, the only sound was the soft thrum of the ship's engines. Then the navigation panel beeped, a signal ping. Jaxon straightened. We've got incoming data feed. A hologram flickered to life above the console, showing the stern face of an alien officer. Federation markings on his uniform. This is Commander Reth Oren of the Outer Rim Defense. Captain Reid, your ship has been tracked leaving Nexus 9. You're carrying stolen biotech. Hand it over immediately. Jackson's hand moved to the comm switch. Yeah, not happening. Reth's eyes narrowed. You don't understand what you're carrying. That implant in your companion isn't just medical. It's a prototype interface, one capable of merging organic and synthetic intelligence. If it completes synchronization, it could destabilize your nervous system permanently. Clara's expression turned to ice. So that's why my father wanted it destroyed. Exactly, Reth said. It was banned for a reason. Disconnect now, or you both die. The transmission cut. Silence returned. Jaxon stared at the console. So this thing inside you, inside us, could kill us? Maybe, she said softly. Or maybe it's the next step. He turned sharply. Next step toward what? Becoming machines? Her eyes glowed faintly gold. No, toward becoming more human than ever. He scoffed. You're not human. She took another step closer, her voice low and steady. No, but tell me, Captain, what's more human than fighting for something you don't understand, even when everyone tells you it's hopeless? That stopped him cold. The connection pulsed between them again, a faint rhythm under the skin. Jaxon could feel her heartbeat syncing with his. He didn't know where his thoughts ended and hers began. The ship shuddered suddenly, alarms blaring. Clara's hands flew to the console. They've locked onto us. Multiple pursuit signatures. Federation or Barons? Jaxon asked. Both. Her voice tightened. They've joined forces. They want the implant. Then they'll have to take it from a dead ship. He pulled the throttle, diving toward the nearest planet, a storm-shrouded world glowing with amber lightning. As the ship entered the atmosphere, turbulence slammed them sideways. The hull groaned. Sparks burst from the panels. Shields failing. Clara yelled, "Brace for landing." The vagrant tore through thick clouds and crashed into the muddy surface of the planet, skidding across the ground before finally coming to rest near the edge of a glowing canyon. Smoke filled the cockpit. Jaxon coughed and ripped off his harness. You okay? Clara winced but nodded. Still breathing. Outside, thunder rumbled like a beast. Strange blue rain hissed against the hull. Jaxon stepped to the viewport and stared into the glowing storm. Looks like we're not going anywhere for a while. Clara moved beside him, her reflection shimmering faintly in the glass. Then maybe it's time to stop running. He looked at her. You got a plan? She met his eyes, her glow intensifying. Not a plan. A choice. Either we destroy the link, or we embrace it. And if embracing it kills us, then we die changing the rules of two galaxies. Outside, lightning split the sky in two. Inside, two beings, once enemies by blood and species, stood side by side, their hearts and minds already intertwined. And deep within the stellar vagrant systems, unnoticed by either of them, a pulse of data moved like a heartbeat through the ship's core, something learning, adapting, becoming. The link had already begun. The storm outside raged like a living thing. Blue lightning tore through the clouds, shaking the earth beneath the stellar vagrant. Inside, the air crackled with tension and something else. Energy. Jaxon Reid stood at the main console, sweat glistening on his face as he rerouted power to the shield core. We've got both fleets converging, he said. Baron's armada from orbit, Federation cruisers from the north. We're trapped. Clara was already at the secondary terminal, her hands glowing with the faint gold light of her implants. Not trapped, she said calmly. Cornered animals fight harder. Yeah, Jaxon muttered. But animals don't have 50 warships aimed at their heads. Her eyes met his. Then let's make sure they remember who they're hunting. A blast shook the ship. The hull screamed under pressure. The comms crackled to life with overlapping voices. Captain Reid, this is Commander Reth Oren. Surrender the subject. Human scum, hissed another voice, the Baron himself. Return what's mine, or I'll burn this planet to glass. Jackson's jaw tightened. They both think they own you, he said. Clara's expression hardened. Then let's show them I belong to no one. The glow beneath her skin brightened, spreading through her arms like liquid fire. The ship's systems began to react, lights flickering, engines humming higher, controls responding faster. Jaxon frowned. What are you doing? Finishing what Dr. Vesa started. Her voice was calm but powerful. The neural link isn't just a connection between us. It's a bridge between organic thought and machine logic. He took a step toward her. You'll overload the system. I am the system now, she whispered. The ship's AI voice stuttered, then shifted, merging with hers. Neural convergence at 80%, it said in her tone. Jaxon could feel the hum in his bones, like her pulse was echoing through him. The link was no longer just mental. It was fusing with the ship. Outside, the fleets drew closer. Dozens of bright lights pierced the clouds as engines descended. Clara looked up, her eyes glowing like twin suns. Jaxon, take the controls. He shook his head. No, not without you. She smiled faintly. You won't be without me. Her hands pressed against the console, and the entire ship came alive. Panels reshaped, circuits realigned, and the Vagrant's engines roared like a beast reborn. The rain outside turned to steam as power surged through the hull. Jaxon grabbed the flight controls. They responded instantly, moving as if reading his thoughts. But he realized quickly, they were reading his thoughts. Lara, he breathed, you're inside the ship. Her voice came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Not just inside Jaxon. With it. With you. The enemy fleets opened fire. Beams of plasma and energy rained down from the skies, but the stellar Vagrant didn't dodge. It danced. Every blast curved away, deflected by a shimmering field that pulsed in rhythm with Jaxon's heartbeat. The Baron's voice erupted over comms. Impossible. That ship is alive. Correction. Clara's voice replied through the open channel, calm and deadly. We are. The ship surged upward, cutting through the clouds like a blade. It weaved between enemy cruisers, each movement precise, graceful, almost human. Every weapon system fired in sync with Jaxon's reflexes, guided by her mind. Together, they tore through the fleet. Federation drones exploded in brilliant bursts of light. The Baron's flagship fired its main cannon, but the Vagrant twisted through the blast and dove straight toward it. Target the core. Clara's voice echoed in his head. I see it. He locked on, and the plasma cannons glowed white-hot. At the same moment, Clara redirected every joule of the ship's power into the weapon system. The shot hit like a god's fist. The Baron's flagship split apart in a storm of light and debris. The explosion tore across the atmosphere, silencing both fleets. For a heartbeat, the galaxy seemed to stop. When the light faded, only one ship remained, battered, glowing, and alive. Inside, the systems dimmed. Jaxon staggered from the controls, smoke curling around him. Lara, he said quietly. You did it. Her voice came softly through the speakers, weaker now. We did it. He looked around. Where are you? Disengage the link. I can't, she whispered. The interface has bonded permanently. My body couldn't handle the full surge. He froze. No. Her holographic image flickered to life beside him. Faint, shimmering, but smiling. Don't look like that, Captain. I'm not gone. I'm just different now. Jaxon's chest tightened. You're part of the ship. I told you I'd help you get off that rock, she said gently. Guess I took that a little literally. He laughed softly, though his eyes burned. So what now? The hologram reached toward him, her touch made of light and warmth. Now we keep flying. There's a whole galaxy out there that still thinks humans break before they bend. Let's prove them wrong. The stellar Vagrant rose through the clouds once more, its engines glowing gold, its AI voice carrying a hint of laughter that was both human and alien. And somewhere beyond the storms, the legend of the ship with a soul, and the human who loved it, began to spread across the stars.